And Mr. Mayor, we are live.
All right, great. Hello, today is the 8th day of March in the year 2021. I am Mayor Densmore, and this is a meeting of the Gulf Manor Village Council. We're meeting remotely by the authority granted us by the Ohio legislature, given concerns about the COVID-19 pandemic. If you will stand as you are able and join me in getting our meeting started in our usual way with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, let's start off with a roll call to establish for the record that we have a quorum to proceed. Mr. Lanzer, would you do the honor?
Mr. Batcher?
Present.
Ms. Cheney? Not present. Mr. Knipp?
Present.
Mr. Pridenoff?
Present.
Ms. Snyder?
Sorry, here.
And Mr. Van Horn?
Present.
All members present except for Ms. Cheney.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to excuse Ms. Cheney? I am aware that due to a family matter, she is unable to attend this evening.
Motion to excuse Ms. Cheney.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Without objection, I take that as unanimous. Presuming council has had an opportunity to review tonight's agenda, do we have a motion to accept or amend and accept tonight's agenda?
Motion to accept.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Without objection, I take that as unanimous. Mr. Lanzer, are there any registered persons to address council this evening?
There are not.
Okay. Then presuming council has had an opportunity to review the prepared minutes of our previous council meeting, I'm sorry that I have the wrong date written down in my notes here. But for the previous council meeting, do we have a motion to accept and amend, to accept or amend and accept the, somebody please help me out with the date.
February 22nd.
22nd, 21 minutes.
Motion to accept the February 22nd minutes.
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Without objection, I take that as unanimous consent, and we'll ask our district fire chief, Chief Timmers, for his report.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. As you see in your packet, we had 7 fire runs in the district. One of them was in Columbia Township. 6 were in Gulf Manor. We had a total of 81 EMS runs in the district, 25 in Columbia Township, 56 in Gulf Manor. I will let you know that we are going to start opening the firehouse since a majority of us got our first and second shots for COVID. We're going to start opening up CPR classes, but we're going to limit to 4 people. So we still have that 6-foot separation. And if there's anything else that you need from me, I'll entertain questions.
All right. Are there any questions for Chief Timmers? Okay, thank you, sir, for your report. Appreciate it.
Thank you. All right.
Okay, we'll move on to my mayor's report. I have a brief COVID update, and that is that last week, Governor DeWine held a statewide address where he announced the criteria for the removal of all COVID-19 public health orders when the state achieves a rate of 50 cases per 100,000 residents and maintains that for 2 weeks. All health orders will be removed. As of last week, Ohio had 179 cases per 100,000. So basically, we need to go down by about 2/3 before all those health orders are removed, and we'll be able to say that that we're getting back to normal. This month is Women's History Month, and as more than 55% of Gulf Manor's residents are female, I'm going to devote a portion of my report tonight to it. Women's History Month is officially recognized in the United States, the United Kingdom, and Australia, corresponding with International Women's Day which is today, March 8th. This day was first designated to commemorate women successfully championing their right to vote. There's a great page on Wikipedia providing an international timeline of women's suffrage. It's very interesting. I'd encourage you to go look at it. I'll have a link to it in my report. Here's a couple of the highlights that I found interesting. It was in 1689 was our first record that we have where female landowners were allowed to vote in elections in the states of Friesland in the rural districts, now known as a province in the Netherlands. In the 1700s, Sweden and Corsica were granting the right to vote to women in some circumstances. Here in the US, the first record of a woman voting was in 1756 in British-controlled Massachusetts. She was allowed to vote in a town hall meeting. In 1776, women were granted the right to vote in New Jersey, but that was rescinded about 10 years later. In 1840, the Hawaiian Kingdom granted its women the right to vote in some circumstances. Property-owning women in South Australia were granted the right to vote in 1861. In 1869, the Incorporated Territory of Wyoming granted full suffrage for women. In 1893, New Zealand had the honor of being the first self-governing country where women won the right to vote. South Australia followed in 1894. Then it was 1894, then it was 1917 with Soviet Russia, and 1919 with Sweden, 1920 with the United States, 1929 with Canada, and it continues on to this day. Of course, International Women's Day is now recognized as being about much more than the right to vote, but to the right of fair treatment with dignity in all of one's self-determined endeavors. Women's History Month is designated as an educational endeavor to increase awareness, not just of the contributions, but also the unique experiences of women in our history. Much of women's history wasn't known by women or men until it was taught in school. According to the most recent census data I have, as I mentioned, 55% of our residents here are female. The precursor of Women's History Month was Women's History Week, celebrated in a number of places in the world, but not until 1978 in the United States by Sonoma County School District in the state of California. It gained popularity quickly, and the president first nationally proclaimed Women's History Week in 1980. 1987, Congress made the change from Women's History Week to Women's History Month, and every US president since 1988 has proclaimed March as Women's History Month. The first president who acknowledged the significance of women's history in 1980 said, quote, "From the first settlers who came to our shores, from the first American Indian families who befriended them, men and women have worked together to build this nation. Too often the women were unsung and sometimes their contributions went unnoticed. But the achievements, leadership, courage, strength, and love of women who built America was as vital as that of the men whose names we know so well." He went on to say that women's history is a right. Quote, "It is an essential and indispensable heritage from which we can draw pride, comfort, courage, and long-range vision. Understanding the true history of our country will help us to comprehend the need for full equality under the law for all of our people." That was President Carter. Of course, by lifting examples of extraordinary individuals, this provides examples of Americans for children to look up to, emulate, and have pride in. My next item is that I signed a petition this past week as mayor to support those on the Mobile, Alabama City Council who are considering changing the name of the George C. Wallace Tunnel to the Vivian Malone Tunnel. George Wallace, as you may have learned in your school history books, was the Alabama governor who proclaimed in 1963, segregation now, segregation tomorrow, and segregation forever. He went against federal Justice Department orders when he attempted to deny access to the University of Alabama to two students, one of which was Vivian Malone. Vivian Malone became the first African-American student to graduate from the University of Alabama, despite all the opposition she received from Governor Wallace. The tunnel was built 10 years later in 1973, in spite of Wallace's blatant racism. Ms. Malone's determination and hard work in the face of the adversity demonstrates a character that represents the best of America. In my opinion, her name should therefore be the name we commemorate on infrastructure, not Wallace's. As the mayor of a predominantly African-American community, I'm asking that you join me in supporting the council members in Alabama fighting for this change. If any of you would like to do so, I'll send you the link that's in my report. I received several calls from a resident of Ridge Acres about code violations that she and her neighbors are having trouble getting addressed by their property management company. I've been briefed on the situation by Mr. Hirth, who's known about the problems longer than I have, and have expressed my intention to do all I can to make sure our residents are being treated fairly. I did a walkthrough with several residents of Ridge Acres today and saw what they've been talking about. I summarized for them our intention to hire a code enforcement officer that can issue citations for code violations and answer questions that our residents have about code enforcement. One of the complications that our residents on Ridge Acres are having has to do with the way their condo association is structured. There's about 88 units in total, with some owners owning one unit, other owners owning multiple units. The condo association is controlled by whoever has a majority share of the ownership. That majority share determines association fees required for all the residents, as well as determines which problems the property management company should consider priorities. As a result, the residents of Ridge Acres are collectively having their fees increased to take care of problems that are only selectively addressed. For example, fees go up for everyone, but only the majority owner's property gets fixed. That's one of the allegations. There are also allegations that some of the fees raised are being investigated, are being invested in interests outside Gulf Manor, specifically that the residents have not been provided a detailed financial record of how their fees are being spent. I know we don't want any residents being taken advantage of. I've advised the residents I met with that I will help them obtain for the residents of Ridge Acres that want to be represented as a group, legal counsel from the Legal Aid Society of Greater Cincinnati. One of the things they do is represent tenants to force landlords to properly maintain and manage their properties. They also help deal with consumer fraud, which may be apt here. And they provide advocacy to create policies that we can write, if appropriate, to help protect our renters and condo owners that aren't majority owners. I told the residents I met with that if the Legal Aid Society of Greater Cincinnati identifies any legislation that council can pass to help these folks out, I'll run it by our village solicitor and certainly do all I can to champion it. I'll keep council up to date on how all this progresses. And as you may know, our administrators already interviewed 3 folks for the code enforcement officer, and I'm told we're ready to move forward with a hiring decision. I've recently become aware of a number of college scholarship opportunities available to our residents. I'll be passing this information along to Ms. Cheney, who's our education liaison, and asking anyone who learns of scholarships available to our residents to please pass that information along to us. A lot of the deadlines for college applications are coming up, for grants are coming up, and that so we certainly want to pass that information along. If there are opportunities for the youth of our community during these unusually rough financial times to obtain scholarships, we certainly want to spread the word about it. Here are the 3 scholarship opportunities that have most recently come to my attention. One is the Archbishop Alter Scholarship Fund, which was established to promote African American Catholic leadership. Its purpose is to assist graduating senior high school students in the Archdiocese of Cincinnati who are African American and Catholic to attend a college or university. Scholarship recipient may choose to attend a parochial private or public institution. The scholarship is a 4-year renewable grant paid twice a year. Candidates are urged to attend a 4-year college. The application deadline is April 20th, 2021. The next two are from the Cincinnati Queen City Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta sorority. It's sponsoring 2 separate scholarship opportunities for African American female and male high school seniors. The chapter will distribute scholarships to African American female high school seniors in the greater Cincinnati metropolitan area who plan to attend a college or university upon graduation. Detailed instructions and application can be found in the link in my report. The deadline for receipt of the applications is Friday, March 26th. The chapter will also distribute scholarships to African American male high school seniors in Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky area who plan to attend a college or university upon graduation. Again, the details and instructions are in a link in my report. The deadline for the receipt of these applications is Friday, April 23rd. Awarding of each type of scholarship will be based on academic excellence, community service involvement, financial need, and if requested, a short interview. Interested applicants must have a minimum grade point average of 2.5 on a 4-point scale. The American Jewish Committee of Cincinnati is hosting a community intergroup Seder, celebrating freedom for all people next Monday, March 15th at 11:45 a.m. I've attended these in the past at the Jewish Recreation Center of JCC. This one will be hosted via Zoom and led by Rabbi Matthew Cross, I think I'm pronouncing that right, who is the head of the Department of Judaic Studies at the University of Cincinnati. I verified that everyone on council and their families are invited. The Seder celebrates the ageless ritual of the Jewish holiday of Passover, celebrating freedom for all. I encourage you all to attend with your families. If you're interested, just email me and I'll send you the link. You need to register by this Wednesday, March 10th, if you're interested. There's no fee. Acknowledging, let's see, I'm still collecting names of healthcare professionals living in Gulf Manor who've been serving during the pandemic. Please reach out to our neighbors in the community and share the word of my intention to honor these individuals for their heroic service to the greater community. I think we have, Ms. Cheney isn't here tonight. She's been helping me with getting the names for this list. I think we only have 4 people so far on that list. I suspect that we have a lot more health care professionals living in Gulf Manor. Need your help getting the word out about my intention to do this. I received there's a board meeting of the Hamilton County Health Department tomorrow at noon that I'll be attending and voting to represent Gulf Manor's interests. They're electing a new board member. If you have anyone or if yourself has any concerns that you'd like me to bring to the meeting, let me know. I've received an update from our solicitor, Mr. Donnellan, on the status of implementing the non-discrimination ordinance that our residents passed this past November. Councilman Pradanoff, Vice Mayor Betcher, Village Administrator, and myself should be receiving an email this week that summarizes his most recent work on this. He's provided me with a detailed oral summary of this already, but it's more appropriate that the parties receive it in writing than me trying to summarize it. So be looking for that in your email. Finally, I want to remind everyone about the elected officials training coming up next week on the 16th, 17th, 18th, and 19th. You need to RSVP by 10 a.m. on the 16th if you're interested. And if you do so, you'll receive the link at that time. It's a lunch and learn format from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. each of those days. You should have an email forwarded from Ron buried in your email from last month somewhere. If you've missed the details about the topics offered, you can find it there or give me a call. And that is my report. Thank you for your patience. And our next item, I believe, is to ask for our village administrator's report.
Thank you very
Mr.
much,
Hurd.
Mr. Mayor. And welcome, Ms. Donaldin Hayden. Hopefully, Mr. Donaldin's doing well. COVID-19 protocols, which we've reported on every council meeting, we'll continue to do that. I'm happy to report that most village employees have received their first COVID-19 vaccination. I would be one of those people. As a result, in-person meetings are starting to be scheduled again. However, we're finding that as a matter of convenience, use of virtual meetings will likely continue for daily business needs where appropriate. So this is a brand new tool. We've invested quite a bit in technology to make this work for us. And actually, we're pretty darn good at it now. So it's something that we will continue to use. We will continue to observe mask mandates and social distancing protocols, as well as sanitizing of the municipal building. And as usual, we always appreciate the efforts of our maintenance crew in making sure that the building is ready to operate on a daily basis. Volunteer Park remains open now daily from dawn to dusk, 7 days a week. So that is a great opportunity and resource there for the residents to use now that the weather is finally starting to break. Stimulus funding for local government jurisdictions is still awaited. I believe did the House pass today, or is that tomorrow? I did not see. It's tomorrow, according to Mr. Betcher. So when that passes, there will be funding that will become available to the local communities. We don't have an idea of what that will be yet, but we are now closing out the reports that are needed for the COVID funding that we received prior to now, so we have no fear of mixing the two pots of money. So we're looking forward to being able to do some good things in the community with those funds. What would a council meeting be without talking about the Vera Road project? Tomorrow morning, we're having our first pre-construction meeting with the engineer and the contractor. Likely, we will send out communication sometime this week by mail to the residents of Vera, Short Elbrook, and the Service Drive side of Lasanaville, announcing the project and also indicating where folks can find updates on the road project going forward. One thing that I would remind council members is that when we contract for someone to do our road projects for us, it's a total service. So they will be doing the construction, the planning, any of the traffic control will be taken care of by the construction company, and any questions regarding procedures and so forth will be directed directly to the construction company, and they will communicate directly with the residents on whatever restrictions or things residents need to be aware of regarding road closures or inconvenience on driveways and things like that. If you go to our website, at the top section where you see the master slider where the images rotate, there's now a section on the road construction project. There's a placeholder out there right now, and as additional information becomes available, we'll be posting it. That link will be in the minutes when they're posted online, so everybody can refer to those as necessary. Another project that is starting is the Duke Energy Central Corridor Pipeline Project. We've also posted a link on the website that goes directly to Duke Energy's information page on that project. There is a specific section for Gulf Manor that's posted. It's actually a PDF form, but that will talk about when it's time for the actual construction to start, that will affect us. It'll be posted there. For our residents, there will be minimal disruption because of the pipeline project, because it's mostly going through the industrial park area from Section Road to Lasanaville, and it actually will cross the street at Lasanaville at the train trestle and then bump up into the city of Cincinnati and then follow on the western side of the railroad tracks down to Langdon Farm Road. So again, all that information will be out on the website as those things happen. There's also a link in this report, which will be in the minutes, so people can refer to this. You may recall I reported at the last council meeting that we do We did get CDAP funding, which can replace the playground equipment that is currently in Volunteer Park. You may be asking, why do we need to replace our playground equipment? Simply, that equipment loses its life after a 10 to 15-year period, and we're coming up on about 18 years that that's been installed. So that is something that we need to be conscious of and start preparing for replacement. I've reached out to a couple of different contractors. We settled on one who had a good idea about doing some age differentiated activities to replace the current stuff that's there, which at the time that was built, I guess the philosophy was that you put everything together so the kids can play together. Those plans are available that I'll be going over with with Mayor Densmore and then with Ms. Snyder, and then we'll make those available to the rest of council as appropriate. Tonight in Ms. Donald Hayden's report, we are asking council to verify the anticipated banking deposits of the village for the purpose of issuing a proposal for banking services. Once this is passed this evening, we will issue an RFP, which a sample of that was in your packet for this evening. And the whole idea of that is to try and reduce cost on banking services and get better services that are more efficient and more customer service friendly than what we might already be using. So we're looking forward, that gets refreshed every several years. We're looking for a 5-year contract at this point. Mr. Lanzer will speak this evening on the pending financial audit and what is being done to prepare for that. A reminder to each of you to check your voicemail and email services. Part of the project of the upgrade includes getting everybody up and functioning in both email and voicemail. Please make sure you do that. We don't want to get to a project here in the next few weeks where we need to communicate with everybody, and then you find that your services are not working. So if you have an issue or need to know how to do that testing, please touch base with me or with Brett at the email address support@golfmanoroh.gov. Just to kind of give you an idea of some of the different things that we are working on that are larger projects, along with the various day-to-day stuff that we're doing. We're continuing to work on developing our master plan and to get that project up and running with a contractor who's going to help us with that process. We are preparing to do a street lighting analysis in the village. Duke Energy has a program which will help us switch out our current lighting system to an LED system. And the first step of that is to analyze what we currently have and to do evaluations of how bright our streets are and determine whether or not we have specific areas that need to be brightened. We'll keep council up to date on that as that project moves forward. In the executive committee tonight, Ms. Snyder will talk a little bit about what we discussed regarding We Thrive. We're getting that program up and running. We're preparing in the maintenance area to do exterior planting and maintenance for the summer months. It's hard to believe it's time to do that, but I'm looking forward to the warm weather. We're currently working on upgrades to the community hall. We're completing technology updates for the police department. We are in the midst of doing our ordinance codification, which is where our ordinances are officially posted, published to the public. It's something that we've not done for the past couple of years, and we now have a process to be able to do this on a yearly basis. So we're hoping to have that complete by the 1st of April. And we'll appreciate all the efforts that Lisa in Mr. Donovan's office is helping to get that process done. Finally, as the mayor mentioned, we're working on the NDO implementation. We're also hoping to have the employee handbook done within the next 30 to 45 days, which has been a long-term project that we've been working on. And then finally, rolling out our enhanced building and property maintenance code enforcement. I did make an offer to a candidate today. We will let you know when that offer is accepted. And there will be an opportunity for our new code enforcement official to talk to the executive committee as that becomes appropriate. So we can talk a little bit about what our strategy needs to be going forward. That is my long-winded end of the report. Are there any questions?
All right, thank you, Mr. Hirth. I wanted to let folks know if there's any resident questions about the pipeline. I met extensively with members from Duke Energy. I had a lot of questions when this first came up as a topic, and they were agreeable to coming out here and meeting with me for a long period of time, where we went in detail through my concerns. So I still have that contact information. So if there's residents that have concerns, let me know. I can certainly help them get their questions answered about whatever questions they have on it. Also, concerning the COVID money, this somewhat related to that, the Ohio Municipal League put out a notice about a hearing that's occurring with the House Ways and Means Committee. This is the Ohio House Ways and Means Committee. I'll try to summarize this as best as I can and ask Ms. Hayden if she's up to date on it. No expectation. I didn't ask her ahead of time about this, but if she's familiar with it, I'll ask her to add any details that I don't cover here or that I inaccurately cover here. My understanding of this is, you know how a lot of folks are working from home these days. Well, there was a decision that was made that the taxes that would be collected on those workers would still be from or still be by the municipality where their office is. All right, even though the folks are working from home. Well, there's some legislation moving forward to say that they're going to overturn that, and basically that money would be collected by where the people, by the municipality where those people live. All right, so that could potentially affect us. The Ohio Municipal League is urging everyone to slow down, at least on the implementation of this, because of course Gulf Manor would have to figure out how we're going to implement that. City of Cincinnati would have to figure out how they're going to deal with that. And so the Ohio Municipal League is saying, in terms of advocacy, that they're looking from elected officials to support this idea of the House making sure that whatever they pass, if there's going to be a change, to give municipalities some time before it's implemented. That hearing, if you want to hear testimony on it, is 9:30 this Wednesday. That's why I bring it up. You can, log in and just check out what's going on. I'm presuming that none of us here would like to register to give testimony. If there's anyone that feels qualified to do so, certainly we can advocate to have you give testimony there. But that is some exciting news. Maybe it's boring news concerning what's going on at the state level concerning all that. And with that, I'll ask Mr. Lanzer, do you have a fiscal officer report?
Yeah, a few things. As Ron mentioned, a little bit of an audit update here. So I mentioned at the last meeting that we, the village, received notice from our friends at Perry and Associates that it's audit time once again, and this is a planned audit for the 2019-2020 fiscal year cycle. I began the process of completing the required pre-audit documentation, and will continue to work to complete this in conjunction with Ms. Gideon. Once completed, we will also begin to collect and assemble the documents, the large document list of documents that were requested. Now, once both of these items are completed, I'll reach back out to Perry to go about scheduling the actual audit. What is to be determined is whether or not they are willing to come down and perform an on-site audit this audit cycle, which is our preference. My goal is to have the documentation completed and assembled, as well as a schedule for the audit by the end of the month at the latest. So fingers crossed we're able to get that finished. The next item is appropriations. We're requesting a supplemental reappropriation this evening to cover another project that village administration is seeking to be completed. And then the last item I have this evening, I just want to give you all an update. The monthly financial reports for December of 2020, as well as January fiscal year 21 and February fiscal year 21 have been completed, and they're available for download and review on the website. I will dive more deeply into all of that at the next council and finance meeting scheduled for 2 weeks from tonight. And a report.
Thank you, Mr. Lanzer. Our next report is from Chief Campbell. Chief.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Tonight, all I have is our Mayor's Court report for the month of February 2021. Total to the village, $993.53. Total to the state was $150. There were $6 in the other line, bringing the total revenue to $1,149.53. That is the end of the Mayor's Court report.
All right, thank you, Chief Campbell. It's our time for a second call for quorum, Mr. Lanzer.
Yeah, Mayor, before we jump into that, I'd like to get a motion to accept the February 2020 Mayor's Court report, if that's possible.
Motion to accept.
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
I apologize for my negligence.
No problem.
Second call for quorum, please.
All right, Mr. Betcher,
Present.
Mr. Knipp,
Here.
Mr. Pridenoff,
Present.
Ms. Snyder,
Present.
Mr. Van Horn.
Present.
All members are present.
Thank you. And tonight we have Megan Donnellan Hayden standing in for our solicitor, Terry Donnellan. Would like to welcome her this evening and ask for our solicitor's report.
Great. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. There's a big shoes to fill, so I'll do my best. So we have ordinance number 2021-4, and I'd like to ask for a motion to read by title only.
So moved.
Second.
And then all in favor, I guess. All right. So the title of ordinance 2021-4 is an ordinance to amend appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the Village of Gulf Manor for the fiscal year ending in December 31, 2021. So can I get a motion to approve and a second?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any requests for discussion before we actually vote? All right. All those in favor?
I think we have a roll call vote.
Roll call.
Mr. Betcher,
Yes.
Mr. Knipp,
Yes.
Mr. Pridenoff,
Yes.
Ms. Snyder,
Yes.
Mr. Van Horn.
Yes.
All right.
All right.
Okay, and then I need a motion to waive the second and third readings as well.
Do we have a motion?
Motion to waive the second and third readings.
Second.
Presume we need a roll on that.
And
Yeah,
I believe,
roll call.
yeah, roll call.
Mr. Betcher,
Yes.
Mr. Knipp,
Yes.
Mr. Pridenoff,
Yes.
Ms. Snyder,
Yes.
and Mr. Van Horn.
Yes.
Ordinance 2021-4 passes.
All right, The next one I have is resolution number 2021-3. And could I get a motion to read by title only as well?
So moved.
Second,
And then all those in favor?
All those in favor? I think I saw everyone's hand.
All right, so we have resolution number 2021-3 is a resolution estimating the probable amount of public monies to be deposited, setting a date for the designation of public depositories and authorizing notice. Can I get a motion to approve and a second?
Ms. Donaldin Hayden, I believe that number might not be correct. Let me check here real quick.
Okay, I apologize.
That's okay.
Oh, you're right. It's
right.
resolution 2021-4. My apologies.
Correct. That's okay.
Motion to approve.
second,
Is there any discussion?
So can I just ask, which one is this? I'm trying to find this in my notes.
Yeah, this is resolution 2021-4. What Ron mentioned, this is the first step that we need. We need this resolution passed in order for us to begin the process of an RFP for banking services.
Oh, very good. Thank you.
So
All right.
if, so the process that we're going to use is after this passes this evening, there will be a public newspaper notice on the 10th and 17th of March. RFPs are due back to us by the 24th. And then we will go through those items and make a recommendation to council likely on April 12th to contract with either our current bank with revisions or with a new banking service.
Question. What's a newspaper?
Yeah, all right.
Would be the Cincinnati Ink. Huh. Huh. It's also on the website.
Any other questions or discussion?
So I'm just asking, I see the RFP document. I don't see 2021-4. Can you tell me what the title is of that in the online packet?
It's on your agenda.
At first, I was confused by it because I saw two of the same numbers, but one is an ordinance and the other one is a resolution.
I'm talking about meaning, is there a document from like is there a legislative document that describes 2021-4?
It's in your council packet from the legislative memo from Mr. Donilon.
I only see 2021-3 on that. Am I missing something?
I believe that's the same one. It's
Yeah.
just, it's a
think it
different
was
number.
Yeah,
Oh,
I think this,
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I missed that point. Okay. I thought we were moving on to another one. Okay. My bad.
All right. Any other questions or discussion? If not, I believe we need a roll call vote. Mr. Lanzer?
that's right. Mr. Betcher,
Yes.
Mr. Knipp,
Yes.
Mr. Pridnoff,
Yes.
Ms. Snyder,
yes,
and Mr. Van Hart.
Yes.
All right, resolution 2021-4 passes.
All right, I believe that's all I have. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Hayden. Ms. Snyder, do you have an executive committee report?
yes. Executive committee's meeting was pretty short tonight, but we did discuss that our We Thrive neighborhood navigators have been chosen by Hamilton County Public Health. They are Jacqueline Threadgill from Elbrook and Evan Conk from Ardmore. And I hope to introduce them to you guys at our next meeting. Any questions?
Good.
End of report.
All right, thank you. As I mentioned, Ms. Cheney is absent this evening given a family matter, so there will be no education report. Mr. Pridenoff, is there a nonprofit report?
No report.
Let's see, Mr. Van Harn, Mr. Lanzer, is there a fire district board member report?
Yeah, the next board meeting will be virtual on Wednesday, March 17th, 2021 at 6 p.m. And I highly encourage the residents who will be watching this tonight to tune in to the next board meeting on the 17th to learn more about what's going on with their fire service.
Thank you,
Mr. Mayor,
Lancer.
if I could
Yes.
remind council that in tonight's online council packet, there are 2 placeholders for the board packet for the 17th, and then also for the link for the meeting. I don't have either of those in hand yet, but those will be posted there, and we'll let everybody know when those are available.
All right, very good. So that'll be a separate email that comes out.
Correct.
All right. Anything else, Mr. Lancer?
That's all I had. I don't know if Roger has anything to add to that.
Mr. Baker?
I'm working on, I'm kind of in an initiative to work on turnout gear and radio replacement for the fire district. I'm still doing some research and I've talked to some people, but I don't really have anything to say about it yet until I get it finalized. So.
All right. Well, thank you for both of your service, for the service of both of you. It's appreciated. And Mr. Betcher, Planning Commission report?
Planning Commission did not meet for the month of March as there wasn't any business to discuss. Next meeting is scheduled for Monday, April 5th at 6:30 pending any business.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Betcher. Mr. Knapp, is there a community engagement report?
No report.
Mr. Betcher, Finance Committee report.
Finance Committee did not meet this evening. No report. Next meeting is Monday, March 22nd at 6 p.m.
Right, thank you. Any other old business? If not, any new business? I'm ready to move on to final announcements, unless I have an objection. All right, so the Audit Committee is scheduled for Monday, March 22nd, 5:45 p.m. Finance Committee meeting scheduled for March 22nd. It's Monday, 6 p.m. Public hearing on Free Community Libraries Code Revision, Monday, March 22nd, 6:30 p.m. Council meeting is scheduled for Monday, March 22nd, 7 p.m. Next Executive Committee meeting scheduled for Monday, April 12th, 6 p.m. Any other announcements? If not, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you.
Second. All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Without objection, I'll take that as unanimous. Thank you all for your service to the community.